Child trapped in burning bedroom. If you're listening to this, stay with me and don't leave. Stories like this aren't meant to be consumed fast. They're meant to be carried. And this one still follows me, years later. It started with a sound I never want to hear again. The radio failed at the worst possible moment. The call came in as a confirmed structure fire, residential, possible child trapped. Those words don't hit all at once. They land in stages. First the address, then the word child, then the silence that follows in your head while your body is already moving. I've responded to hundreds of fires, but when there's a child involved, the air inside the truck changes. Everyone feels it. No one says it. We were halfway there when the radio started cutting out, static, broken transmissions. Dispatch trying to clarify details that wouldn't stay clear long enough to understand. I caught fragments. Bedroom, second floor. Fire spreading fast. Then nothing. Dead air. The kind that makes your jaw tighten without you realizing it. When we arrived, the house was already giving off that deep, angry sound fire makes when it's feeding well. Flames pushing from windows, dark smoke rolling heavy and low. Neighbors everywhere, some screaming, some frozen. A woman on the front lawn collapsed onto her knees the moment she saw us. I knew without asking. That was the mother. She tried to run back inside when she saw the flames surge from the upper floor. Two of us caught her before she could make it 3 steps. She was fighting us, not violently, just desperately. She kept saying the same thing over and over. He's in his room. He's in his room. I can still hear her voice when things get quiet. I told her we were going to get him. I didn't promise. I never promise. But I told her we were going in. That mattered. The front door was still intact, but heat poured out when we forced it. The smoke was thick immediately, pushing down, stealing visibility before you even crossed the threshold. Fire has a way of shrinking the world. Everything becomes closer, tighter, louder. As we advanced inside, the radio crackled once, then died completely. No command updates. No exterior reports. Nothing. Inside a burning structure, that isolation is dangerous. You're cut off from the bigger picture. All you have is training, memory, and trust in the person next to you. We moved fast but controlled. Crawling low, sweeping ahead, reading heat with instinct more than instruments. The staircase was already compromised. Smoke banking down, heat building with every second. Somewhere above us, fire was moving with purpose. I remember thinking, briefly, that this was exactly the scenario they drill into you during training. And I remember thinking how different it feels when it's real. When it's not a mannequin behind the door. When there's a child whose name you don't know, but whose life depends on how well you manage fear. Halfway up the stairs, the heat jumped. Not gradually, suddenly. A warning that conditions were changing faster than we wanted. We pushed through anyway. Turning back wasn't an option anyone considered. The hallway on the second floor was a tunnel of smoke and heat. Doors on either side, paint blistering, the air alive with movement you couldn't see. I counted steps automatically, muscle memory. Left hand on the wall, right sweeping forward. We found the bedroom door by feel before sight. The heat behind it was intense. Fire was already working that room. I could hear it. That low, consuming roar that tells you it's not just burning, it's taking. I forced the door open, and the heat hit like a physical thing. The room was already partially involved. Flames crawling along the walls, thick smoke layered from ceiling to floor. Visibility dropped to nothing. This is the moment people imagine as chaos. It isn't. It's focused so narrow it almost hurts. You stop thinking about anything except the next action. You move because stopping would mean letting fear catch up. I stayed low, sweeping the floor, calling out even though I knew he might not answer. Children don't always scream. Sometimes they go quiet, and then I felt something. A small shape, still, too still. My heart rate spiked so hard it felt like it punched the inside of my chest. I pulled him toward me, shielding him instinctively, turning my body to block the heat as much as possible. He was unconscious, light in a way that makes your throat tighten because it shouldn't feel like that. As I lifted him, the room flashed brighter. Fire reacting to movement, to air. Conditions deteriorating fast. I turned back toward the door, but the hallway was already worse than when we came in. The fire was advancing, not waiting for us. I could hear my own breathing loud inside my mask. Too loud. I forced it down, slower, controlled. Panic wastes air. Panic makes mistakes. Somewhere behind me, something collapsed. The sound echoed through the house like a warning. Time compressed. Everything mattered all at once. This was the moment where training either holds or it doesn't. And with the radio dead, no one outside knew exactly where we were, how bad it had become. I turned back toward the doorway with the child pressed tight against my chest, his head tucked under my chin the way they teach you, the way that keeps their airway protected and your body between them and the fire. Every step felt heavier than the last, not because of his weight, but because of what the heat was doing to the space around us. The hallway was no longer a hallway, it was a furnace. Smoke had thickened, heat had dropped lower, and the air itself felt hostile. I took one step forward and felt the floor shift slightly under my knee. That subtle movement sent a clear message. Time was almost gone. I called out to my partner, but my voice sounded wrong in my own ears, muffled, distant. The radio was still dead. No backup instructions. No updates on conditions below. We were alone with the fire. I remember thinking, very clearly, that if I hesitated now, this would turn into a recovery instead of a rescue. That thought wasn't dramatic. It was practical, cold, the kind of thought experience gives you whether you want it or not. I adjusted my grip and moved. Low, controlled. Each movement deliberate. Fire punishes panic faster than anything else I've ever seen. Halfway down the hallway, the ceiling above us groaned. A deep, rolling sound that vibrated through the structure. I felt it through my gloves, through my knees, through my teeth. That sound means weight shifting where it shouldn't. It means the building is making decisions for you. I didn't look up. Looking up wastes time. I pushed forward, following memory more than sight. I could feel my legs shaking now, muscles screaming under gears soaked with sweat. My breathing was loud again, faster than it should be. I forced it down, counting breaths the way they teach you early in your career, before you think you'll ever need that kind of control. If stories like this matter to you, if you want to understand what really happens in moments like this, stay with me. These aren't things you see on the news. We reached the top of the stairs, and I immediately knew something was wrong. The heat pattern had changed. The airflow felt different. Fire had found a new path. I paused just long enough to reassess, then committed. There's no halfway decision in a burning house. As I started down the stairs, embers rained past us, sparks riding hot air like they had somewhere important to be. The staircase felt softer under my boots than it had before. Not collapsed, not yet, but compromised enough that every step mattered. About halfway down, the house shifted again. Louder this time, more violent, the sound of something giving up. I felt the vibration roll through the stairwell, followed by a sudden surge of heat from behind us. Fire had claimed the second floor. My grip tightened automatically. I angled my body to shield the child's face, adjusting my posture to keep his airway as protected as possible. He was still unconscious. Still too still. At the bottom of the stairs, visibility improved just enough to make out shapes, furniture, doorways. The front door was still there, but fire was pushing hard from the back of the house now, racing toward fresh air. I moved faster, every instinct screaming to get out. That's the dangerous part. When urgency tries to override technique, I forced myself to slow just enough to stay upright, to stay balanced. Falling now would end everything. We burst through the front door into daylight and noise and chaos. Hands grabbed me immediately, strong hands. Familiar hands. Someone took the child from my arms, and the sudden absence of his weight almost knocked me off balance. I stumbled forward, dropped to one knee, then forced myself back up. My legs didn't want to cooperate. My hands shook violently as I pulled my mask off. Cool air hit my face and felt almost painful. The mother was there instantly. I didn't see her approach. I just heard her, a sound I don't have words for. Relief mixed with fear, still afraid to believe it was real. The medics moved fast, efficient, calm. They took over without hesitation. Airway, oxygen, assessment. Their voices were steady, practiced. I watched their hands more than their faces. Hands don't lie. As they worked, the house behind us changed again. Flames broke through the roof, fire finally claiming what it had been working toward. The building roared, fully involved now, no longer pretending to be a home. I realized then how close we'd been. How narrow the window was, seconds, not minutes. My body caught up with me all at once. My knees felt weak, my shoulders burned. My jaw ached from clenching it so hard. I leaned against the engine and closed my eyes for just a moment, listening to my heartbeat pound in my ears. The radio crackled back to life, too late to matter. Static, then voices trying to regain control of a scene that had already made its choices. The child coughed. Just once, small, weak, but unmistakable. That sound hit me harder than the heat ever did. I opened my eyes and watched as the medics adjusted, encouraged, worked. The mother collapsed again, this time into tears that didn't sound like fear anymore. They sounded like release. I stood there longer than I needed to, watching the scene stabilize, watching life push back against everything that had tried to take it. That's the part people don't talk about. The moment after, when your hands stop shaking and your brain starts replaying everything you almost did wrong. And I knew, even then, that this fire would stay with me. I stayed on scene long after my part of the job was technically over. That happens sometimes. Your body leaves the danger, but your mind stays behind, replaying angles, sounds, decisions. The house was a loss now. Flames had taken it completely, chewing through years of memories like they were nothing. But the focus had shifted. It always does. The continue part 3, continue not part 3. I stayed on scene long after my part of the job was technically over. That happens sometimes. Your body leaves the danger, but your mind stays behind, replaying angles, sounds, decisions. The house was a loss now. Flames had taken it completely, chewing through years of memories like they were nothing. But the focus had shifted. It always does. The child was loaded into the ambulance, wrapped in blankets that looked too big for him. The medics moved with quiet urgency, not rushed, not slow. That balance told me more than any words could. He was breathing on his own. That mattered. Everything else could be handled later. The mother stood nearby, shaking, her hands pressed to her mouth as if she was afraid to make a sound that might undo what had just happened. When our eyes met, she didn't rush toward me. She just nodded, hard, over and over. Gratitude that didn't need translation. That's another thing people don't understand. After something like this, words feel unnecessary. Sometimes they even feel wrong. I finally sat down on the bumper of the engine and let my gear hang loose. Sweat cooled too fast against my skin, making me shiver even though the fire was still burning behind us. My muscles started to tighten now that the danger had passed. That delayed pain you always pay later. I took my helmet off and rested it between my boots, staring at the ground while the scene continued to unwind around me. Sirens faded. Neighbors murmured. Someone handed me a bottle of water I didn't remember asking for. I drank it anyway, my hands still trembling slightly. That's when the doubts arrive. They always do. You start asking yourself questions you can't change the answers to. What if the staircase had gone? What if I'd turned left instead of right? What if the radio hadn't failed and someone had ordered us out? Those questions don't make you weaker. They make you honest. Anyone who tells you they don't have them is either new or lying. Later, after the scene was cleared and the fire finally reduced to smoke and steam, We went back to the station. The ride was quiet. No jokes, no replays. Just the low hum of the engine and the unspoken understanding that we'd all been close to something irreversible. I showered longer than usual, letting the water run hot until the smell of smoke finally faded from my skin. It never really leaves, not completely. It just retreats until the next call brings it back. That night, sleep didn't come easy. It rarely does after fires like that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the hallway again, felt the heat pressing in, heard the groan of the structure above us. I got up and sat in the dark instead, letting the memories move through me instead of fighting them. A few days later, we got word from the hospital. The child would recover. Smoke inhalation, some burns, but nothing life-threatening. He would go home. That sentence landed heavier than any metal ever could. I thought about how close that story came to ending differently. How fragile the line really is between rescued and lost. We walk that line every time we go inside, whether people realize it or not. Years from now, that child won't remember the fire. He won't remember the heat or the smoke or the moment everything changed. That's the best outcome. The memories belong to us instead. This job doesn't make you fearless. It teaches you how to move while afraid. It teaches you how to act when your instincts are screaming to run. And sometimes it reminds you exactly why you chose this life in the first place. The radio failed that day. The fire behaved badly. The building tried to collapse around us, and still, a child walked away alive. If you've stayed with me this far, understand this. These stories aren't about bravery the way movies show it. They're about preparation, restraint, and respect for how fast things can go wrong. If this story meant something to you, stay here, subscribe, listen to the others. Not because they're dramatic, but because they're real. And because somewhere, right now, another call is coming in that will change everything for someone who doesn't even know it yet. The bedroom was already on fire. And that night, we got there in time.